Welcome to the Flip to Freedom podcast. I'm your host, Sean Terry. Hello again, this is Sean Terry from the Flip to Freedom podcast, and we are on episode number 89. Now, if you are joining us for the very first time, I'd like to welcome you and let you know that I have put this podcast together for you for one reason, and that is to give you a vehicle that you can learn the step-by-step process on how to break into the real estate game. Maybe you've never bought a house before. Maybe you've never sold a house. Maybe you do own a house, and maybe you work in a job, but you've always had this burning desire to get involved in real estate, and you just don't know how, because maybe you don't want to do buy and hold, because that's, kind of boring. You got to wait for, 10, 15 years for you make some real money on the property, or maybe you want to get into commercial, but don't know how. Maybe you want to get into land or something like that. But this particular podcast talks about wholesaling. Now, wholesaling is where you can find a seller that's motivated, and you can get a property under contract. You don't have to have your credit checked. You don't have to come up with a huge deposit, 10, 20% down. You don't have to purchase the property. You just get the property under contract. And then you turn around and you can flip it to an end user buyer that will purchase the property either for buy and hold or fix and flip, or they just want to live in it. Now, when they purchase it, you can make the difference in between. Let's say you get a contract for $50 from a seller. You can turn around and get a contract from a buyer for, say, $60,000, and you can make the difference, $10,000. Now, if you do one deal a month and you make, let's say, $10,000 on a deal, well, guess what? You're living large. You're doing great. $10,000 on a part-time basis working around what you do. If you do one deal a month, that's $120,000 you could make in the next 12 months. Well, some people listening right now don't even make $120,000. Or if you do, what would it take to get a current raise on your job of $120,000? Now, for me, I've been doing this since 2003. My first check I ever got, it was difficult. It wasn't easy. I had to work my butt off, and I got my first check of $11,008, and that was it for me. When I realized that this worked, because everybody told me it wouldn't work. All my friends, my relatives, family, they were like, "This won't work. You can't do that. You can't sell a house you don't own." And for me, I don't know if I was just a rock stupid. I just said, I'm gonna make this work. I don't care. And I went out and I worked my butt off and went out and made a success. And I've made millions and millions of dollars in real estate currently in this market right now. I have a full-time real estate business here in Phoenix, and doing $10 million in sales a year. And I do this podcast because I love real estate, number one, and I love teaching. And one of the most inspiring things for me is watching people that have listened to the other 88 different episodes that have taken the information and went out and accomplished and go out and got their first check and realized that they could do it. And this podcast will inspire you, it will motivate you, and will give you concrete facts on exactly what to do, irregardless of where you are in your business. If you're just getting started and you're brand new and you've never done a deal before, there are episodes that you can listen to on how to get started and what to do and how to find the seller and how to talk to the seller, how to negotiate and how to write the contract, and then find the buyer and get the property sold, and what do you tell a title company? It's all in there. And then if you are in, maybe intermediate, you're part-time, you've done 2 or 3 deals before, and you're just trying to figure out how you can possibly replace your income and potentially go full-time. Well, guess what? We talk about that in here. We talk about how to scale your business, how to go out and be in a position where you can then quit your job. You get 1 year's worth of income in the bank. And then if you want to go out and go from, $100,000 a year business, right, and then take it to to $1 million a year business. Well, guess what? We talk about that too. So we cover pretty much all aspects. So that's what, and I teach this and love it and love talking to people about it. And real estate is just all the time. I just love doing it. And that's why I do this podcast. But anyways, so it's all here for you. It doesn't matter what level of experience that you are in right now in real estate. So this particular episode, it's more in an advanced side of it. If maybe you've already got your first check and you're maybe making $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, so far in real estate. What we're going to talk about here is 3 small tweaks to transform your $50,000 a year wholesale business into a $500,000 a year cash machine. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about. I'm going to give you the small tweaks, right? We're going to talk about scaling your business. We're going to talk about how to increase your income 100%. Okay, well, actually more, right? Because we're going to have 50,000 to 500,000, but real small little things you can do in your business that people overlook, that you can go out and take that and then just blow it up. Now, if you want to learn more from me, you can visit flip2freedom.com, flip2freedom.com, and you'll see a video of me on the front page. And then there'll be a place where you can enter your email, and you can download a book I wrote. It pretty much explains in detail a 19-week process for going out and starting from scratch, not knowing a thing about wholesaling or a thing about flipping properties or a thing about real estate. And it will take you through a process of going out and building your business to where you can go out and have the ability to go out and quit your job in 19 weeks or less. So you can do that by number one, going out and getting your first check as fast as humanly possible. Number two is phase number two I talk about is going out and getting 1 year's worth of income in the bank. Okay, when you have 1 year's worth of income. So if you make $50,000 a year, the goal is to get $50,000 of cash in the bank. Phase three is when you go out and now you're at the point where you have the option to quit your job, and you take that option. You go into your boss and say, "I'm done. I'm out of here." Right? So that first day, now you're in business for yourself. You are now an entrepreneur. What happens from that point? And then how to take your business to another whole level where you're just absolutely crushing it and taking over your market. So that's basically the four, and we talk about it in that book, and it's in detail. I've had people tell me they spent well over $1,000 for the same information I give for free. Now, also on the website, there's a little tab up top that says case studies. You can click on there and you can see a ton of other people that have been listening to the podcast and read my book and listened to the information and applied it and went out, and you can kind of see their results and their success and what they've done all across the country. This works in every state all across the country. We have people in Canada that are listening to the podcast, flipping properties here. We got people in Australia that are listening to the podcast and flipping properties here in the United States. So you can't tell me it doesn't work in every state across the country, because it does. And you can do it too if you just follow along with the information. It's plain, it's simple. I'm not the smartest guy and smartest tool in the toolbox, I can tell you that, but I just try to lay it out there where it's real and you can listen, you can learn, and you can apply. All right. So now, I want to talk real quick about a couple different reviews of people that went into iTunes and they submitted a review. First off, I want to thank you very much if you have went in there and submitted a review. It definitely helps in the rankings within iTunes so more people can find the podcast. But one of them came in here, and it's from Derek Allison on May 22nd, 2012, 5 stars, and said, "Thank you. Sean, thank you for helping me. I'm a former agent in a bad market who has rental houses. I got in a funk and in a bad market trying to help people sell. I've been following the podcast and I'm on my way to my very first flip. I need a title agent in Cape Coral, Florida for double closing. Thanks, Sean, you rock." So all he's got to do now is find that title agent, which we tell you how to do, and you can go out and flip that property. So thank you for submitting that review. Next one comes in from Blake Stevens, the rugby guy, and it says 5 stars, most inspirational podcast, great motivation, kind of cuts off there, but it says, "This is an amazing podcast. I have listened to all of them and read his book. It's all great stuff. The motivation is amazing, and that is probably the most important thing that I have the desire. He also provides exact step by step how he," wait a minute. You know what's funny? Actually, it's not really funny. I hit 40, right, a couple years ago, and my eyes went whack job. It was like weird. It's all of a sudden I was reading in the morning this book, right, and the day I hit 40, my eyes went, next thing you know, man, everything was like blurry. So I'm sitting there on my phone, my iPhone, trying to read this, and Blake, I'm sorry if I'm just screaming. Okay, the motivation is amazing, and that is probably the most important thing to have the desire. He also provides exact step-by-step how to, and doesn't seem to hold anything back. Now, I definitely don't hold anything back. He hits the wholesaling in real detail and talks about faith, family, and long-term investing to round it out. I owe a debt of gratitude. Well, thank you so much, Blake, for submitting that review. I greatly appreciate it. And thanks for doing that. So try to incorporate everything, because you know what? There's, in life, especially in business and in real estate, well, guess what? Everyone's got family, and you have your own faith that you bring into it, which is an important part of that. But then there's going out and and really being motivated to apply it. And what I found is that there's two ways of motivation. Number one is seeing that other people have done it. That's why I told you to go to the case study. See that other people have listened and applied it, and they went out and got results. And then two is giving you golden nuggets of information that you go, oh my gosh, that's an incredible idea. I want to go out and apply it. And then you see results from it. Once you see results from it, it's phenomenal. Now, real quick before I get into the absolute the meat here of the three small tweaks to transform your business, people were wondering what the heck I've been up to. I actually just came back from a 5-day Bahamian Disney cruise with my family, right? And it was great because I literally unplugged for 10 days because we went there 5 days, 5 nights on the cruise, and then we went to Disney World and did all that type of stuff there, and it was a blast, and it was amazing because first off, Disney does everything completely first class. I went with my wife and my 2 daughters. I have a 9-year-old and a 13-year-old, and my 9-year-old brought her best friend with her, right, so they could hang out and play, which we paid for, and then also my 12-year-old or 13-year-old brought her friend, right, that came along with us and paid for them. So we got 2 staterooms with verandas overlooking the ocean, and it was first class all the way. All I can tell you is you've got to go. If you've never been on a cruise, you got to go on a Disney cruise. It's absolutely first class. They take care of everything from the moment you step off that plane, between your luggage, you get on the ship there. For your rooms, they take care of everything. It's, just absolutely phenomenal. So it's a vacation, of a lifetime. It's just incredible. But we flew into Florida and Orlando, spent the night, and then in the morning took off from there to Cape Canaveral. Went from Cape Canaveral, got on the boat, hanging out by the pool. Went on the Disney Dream, which is their newest ship. Went on this big thing called the Aqueduct, which is a slide for the kids that go all around the ship, which is crazy. So went from Cape Canaveral down to Castaway Cay, which is Disney's private island. We went down there, and I'll post a video of the whole thing up on the blog there in the next couple of days or so. But went to Castaway Cay, where we went jet skiing, we went parasailing, we went snorkeling out there. The water was just amazing. Went and played with the what are those things called, the stingrays and stuff. Kids were feeding the stingrays, and the weather was just absolutely phenomenal. Then we went down to Atlantis and spent the day there. Then had a ship day where we kind of sailed around, and the dinners were phenomenal. We had these actually 2 waiters that followed us around, because what they do on this particular cruise is you dine at a different restaurant every single night, and your wait staff follows you, and they get to know you and get to know the kids and get to know what everybody likes. And it's literally a 5-course meal that's just ridiculous. And so that was great. So we're on the ship, we have them dressed up every night, and the rooms are, being taken care of and cleaned up because the kids were an absolute mess. But But it was fun. We had a blast. We came back, went to Castaway Cay, sailed around, went back to Cape Canaveral. But it was a phenomenal trip. And to unplug, literally to unplug. I mean, we took our phones and I shoved them. We had a safe on there. Took the kids' phones, put them in a safe, and we didn't touch our phones for 10 days. 10 days we didn't touch our phones. No Facebook, no tweeting, no email, no phone calls, nothing. And I think that's the first time I've ever really unplugged since they invented cell phones and laptops. But yeah, it was just amazing. Now I go for the summer. I have a beach house in Southern California in Dana Point. We go there for the summer and hang out. And I don't fully unplug because obviously I'm still doing business over there, but to be able to do that, it's amazing. And that is what you can do with this type of income. You can make just ridiculous amounts of money where you can go out and afford to do, high first class, all the way accommodations all the way. So just want to let you know what I was up to here in the past couple weeks. But anyways, let's get back into the meat. Hope I didn't bore you with that stupid story. Anyways, so now let's talk about the big picture. Okay, so the goal: 3 small tweaks to transform your $50,000 a year wholesale business into a $500,000 cash machine. Right? That's a big jump, right? So what's it going to take? And it's really these small things of really looking at it and really dialing in your business. Because when we first get started, we're kind of sporadic. You might be working a job, and then you're now okay. Now I'm going to do some marketing, and I get some more calls coming in. Maybe I get a motivated seller, and then I turn around and then I get a deal under contract, and I turn around, I sell it, and I make some check. And then you're kind of all over the course, right? So what this will do is kind of give you a laser focus of exactly how to manage your business correctly and then be able to scale it. So the first thing, though, is the mindset. Okay? You've got to have the mindset that all things are possible when it comes to real estate. I mean, do you realize that, we're talking about, flipping $100,000 houses and making $10,000 on a deal. Okay. That is so nominal when it comes to the world of real estate. I mean, there are $100 million transactions going on where people are flipping them or renovating or buying them, right? That there is that possibility when it comes to real estate. Now, that's obviously pretty big to think. So, but what if you take it on a smaller level and you think, well, what if I got involved in real estate and I could flip some houses, or maybe you are making $50,000 a year. Well, the first step, number one, is to increase your income mentally to where you say, listen, the next 12 months, I want to make X, right? And whatever X is, double it. Okay. And why do you do that? Because it's amazing. Things will line up and it's hard to explain. For an example, 2011, I made an income goal in January. And I remember I made the income goal, then I doubled it. And I was like, there is no way. I remember thinking when I actually, a ridiculous number. I was like, there is no way I can make that much money. I had no idea how, I had no how many deals I had to do and stuff was going, I was like, I don't know how this is going to happen, but I'm just going to put it out there. Okay. I would just want to make that much. So 2011 income goal, right? So I put it out there and amazingly, and if I told you, you'd freak. But I put the number out there, and I just kind of let it go. I said, that's what I'm going to put on. I put a plan. I started working, doing deals, marketing, cranking it out. And it's crazy because it pushes you to a level of expectation higher than you normally would do. Instead of doing a marketing campaign with X amount of mailers, you go, well, I'm just going to increase it, right? So what happened is that I didn't even keep track. I was just blowing and going, just going nuts, right? So end of the year, did my taxes, did all the stuff there. And I looked at the amount of income that I made for 2011, and I exceeded my goal by $2,000. That close. I mean, I literally fell out of my chair when I realized that. I was like, holy cow, because I have this little, on my Mac, this little computer thing right here, and it downloads all the stuff. And I was like, holy cow, amazing. I exceeded it by 2,000, that close. I could not believe it. You know what the first thought was? I was like, what an idiot. Why didn't I triple it? Why didn't I quadruple it? Right? Because I remember thinking at the time, I was like, no way. There's no way. I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. But I tell you, when I got to I was like, holy cow. So my 2012 goal, I just blew it out of the water, right? You know, I still haven't kept an account of exactly where we're at. So, you know, half the year's gone, but I know it's going really well. So, and I'm sure I'll over exceed it. So anyway, so the bottom line is this, is that first off, get your head on straight, and whatever you think as an income goal, and you're going, okay, maybe if I could part-time, if I could make $100,000 this year flipping houses, well, guess what? Double it. You know, you might not know how. You might not know how it's going to work out. But things, if you listen to the podcast, you follow the principles, things will start to unfold, which will amaze you. Okay, that's number one. Number two is this. Actually, that's not even number one. That's just a general overlay. That's not even part of the 3 tweaks. Here's the first one of the small tweaks you can do. And it talks about scaling your business. Okay. Now I talk about this before, but scaling your business is incredibly important. Okay. When you're first starting out, you want to focus on one channel. And a channel, I talk about marketing. So what are channels? Channel is direct mail. And it might be direct mail to absentee owners, right? Or it might be direct mail to inheritance list. Or it might be direct mail to a probate. Those are all separate channels of marketing. Okay. So when you're first getting started, what you do is you focus on one specific channel and you reinvest 15% back into marketing. So if you make $10,000, say in potential profit and profit that comes in, you would reinvest $1,500 back into marketing, will go into your marketing budget. Then the next month, if you turn around and you make $20,000, you'll reinvest $3,000 in the marketing. And what will happen, you'll get to a point in your business where you cannot spend 15% in a month of marketing, to where you're making so much income coming in that you cannot even spend $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a month just on marketing, because that's 15% of your monthly income. So when it comes to scaling, realize that if you continue to reinvest 15% back in your marketing, it will grow exponentially. Okay. Now, from the start, focus on one specific channel, and I would recommend starting on direct mail. And if you have inheritance in your area, call Lance at usleadslist.com, usleadlist.com. Call Lance at usleadlist.com. Get an inheritance list. If you can't get an inheritance list, focus on direct mail to absentee investors. Okay, send them what's called a yellow letter, right? And you can get that from yellowlettermail.com. Talk to Michael Quarles. So, yellowlettermail.com, Michael Quarles. But what you do is send absentee owners. Where you get the list? You get the list from listsource.com. Okay. So what you're going to do is focus on one channel, direct mail. Okay. And you mail out whatever you can afford to get it going, or maybe you're already mailing right now. What you want to do is mail that out, and then that channel, and then you're going to increase. You're going to go deep with that channel. So what does going deep with that channel mean? That means if your total available absentee owners in your entire market that you're focusing on is, say, 20,000, right? Let's say there's 20,000 absentee, or 50,000 absentee. And what's absentee? That's a rental property, an investor-owned rental property, and they live out of state. Okay? So you focus on those. And let's say the total available amount of properties that you could market to were, say, 20,000. But you can't afford to maybe do 20,000 right on or you don't have the support or the team to be able to handle the amount of leads coming in. So what you do is maybe send out 2,000. Okay, you send out 2,000 letters, yellow letters out to them, and then you manage those leads come in and you reinvest. Well, going deep would be going deep to where you're hitting those 20,000. And that's the channel that you stay in and you scale into. Then what happens is once you scale that, right, and it's working and you know it's working, we'll get into analytics here in a second, but when you start doing that, then what you do is then you start moving into different channels. You might move into pay-per-click advertising online for Google AdWords. You might move into hitting other channels like probate or more inheritance, or hitting into fire damage properties or whatever. So what you do is you start increasing other different channels until you can max out each one of the channels, and then you're cranking. Imagine having all your channels maxed out. You're hitting inheritance every month. You're hitting all the available absentee owners you can mail, on a 30, 60, 90-day basis. You're hitting all the probates in the area, all the, you're hitting all the properties that are where they're local, where they're investors, but now they're local. So that's a different channel, different campaign. So in that particular case, you want to go deep into that particular channel until you've hit it, as long as it's working. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is to determine if that channel is working or not, right? There's lead management, and then there's analytics, okay? Now, let's talk about analytics, and then I'll talk about lead management. So analytics, that's when, right? And I use Freedom Voice. Freedom Voice is it's a voicemail system. It's an online voicemail system, and you can add mailboxes or numbers, and make sure you use a local number, to your Freedom Voice account, and each number will have a different campaign associated with it, okay? So now what you can do is you can track. So if I mail out 2,000 letters, right, you can check, okay, here's my campaign. My campaign's to absentee investors, and I mailed out 2,000. So then you can track the amount of calls that have come in. So now you know what your response rate for the mail campaign piece that you're using. Some mail campaigns we use postcards, and the postcards we use are from yellowlettermail.com. You can go there and check them out. They have some different postcards, and also the Yellow Letter, right? So we're going to test, and we're going to see which is going to give us the better response. Right? So we're going to track the amount of calls coming in to that from that particular list, right? And then we're going to track the amount of leads that we've got. So the calls coming in, how many leads? Because people are going to call in, they're going to call in and hang up. People are going to call in and say, take me off your list. People are going to call in and say, hey, I just got your letter, I'm interested in selling, and they're going to be not motivated, right? And there's people are going to call in, and they're going to call and say, hey, I'm interested in selling, and they're going to be motivated. So those are leads. So if you send out 2,000 letters and you get a 10% response rate, right? So you get 200 calls. Now, with those 200 calls that come in, right? Then you're going to figure out, okay, how many of those are motivated? How many of those are hang-ups? How many of those are get off my list, right? Now, out of those, let's say you get, and you divide that by 25, you get 8 leads. So 8 good quality leads that come in. And then number of appointments you went on. So let's say out of the 8 leads, you went on 8 appointments to go see properties or make offers on the properties if they're absentees, right? And number of deals. Out of the 8 deals, maybe out of the 8 potential leads, maybe you got, 5 deals out of them. And the 5 deals could be $2,000 deals, $3,000 deals, whatever the case may be. Now, one key important part when it comes to negotiating, and I'm going to kind of throw this in as a bonus. It's not part of my tweaks there, I guess you could say. But this little tiny tweak can make a big difference in your business. One is expectation of the amount of money you want to make on a per deal basis. So I was talking to one of it's a Barron's Club member, and he was talking, and he was putting in a $5,000 profit on a per property basis. Okay, so when he negotiated with the seller, he said, "Well, I can sell the property at X." $50,000, right? So I'm going to try the highest I can go with the seller is $45,000. So it's putting in his brain that that $45,000 I could go as high. So when it came to negotiation with the seller, right? He's negotiating. And he's saying, "Hey, $45,000." right? Because you tend to go to your max immediately. Now, how would I handle that lead? Well, first off, I would increase the amount of money I want to make on a per deal basis. Instead of making $5,000, maybe make $10,000 or even more. So now you go say, I want to make $10,000 on this particular deal. So then when you say, I can sell it at $50,000, what becomes your max number that you can pay for it, right? That you can get under contract for? Well, that's $40,000. That's your max number. So you're going to try to get it lower than that, of course, in your negotiation. But if it all comes down, you throw your hands up in the air, $40,000 is it. So now you built yourself in a $10,000 profit. If you do that on each particular deal, you increase the amount of profit that you would like to make on a per deal basis, and you double that number, holy cow, if you're doing, let's say you've done 10 deals so far and you averaged a $4,000 profit, well, guess what? If you double that, it goes from a $40,000 profit to an $80,000 profit on that one small tweak, and it's only because you believe that, maybe I should only make this much. So for an example, I got a property under contract yesterday from a motivated seller. We did a follow-up. They called us in January, and we continued to follow up and got the contract on it yesterday. So, and we'll talk about follow-up here in a sec. But the bottom line is this, is that I went in there, right? And I went in there and I wanted to make $30,000 on a deal. I was like, so if I'm going to drive out there, I want to make $30,000 on this deal. So when we went in, I looked at the house and checked around. I was like, you know what? The most I want to pay for this house, with the condition, the property, and the economy, and the market, and this, that, and the other, most I'll do is $19,000. Seller came back, $19,500. I'm going to sell it tomorrow, right? I'll sell the thing tomorrow for $50,000 all day long, twice on Sunday, and it still will be a great deal for the buyer. So you're increasing your expectation of what you want to make on a deal will make a massive difference in your annual bottom line. All right. So now, analytics. Mail campaign, you want to track, right? I'm going to send out 2,000 letters. Number of calls, I got 200 calls. Number of leads, I got 8 good leads. Number of deals, I got 5 good deals. Okay? And I'm just throwing out numbers up in the air. So now you got 5 good deals, and then those deals, and if you can increase that number of what your potential profit is on that deal, they'll make a big difference. Now, for an example, right, then what you do is calculate the ROI of that particular campaign, and you put it in a spreadsheet. You put date mailed, campaign absentee owners. I mailed 2,000, and boom, here's my ROI. Now, for an example state, what is ROI? That's a return on investment. So what you want to do now is over time, you're going to see where your marketing is making you the most amount of money. For an example, let's say you did marketing and you spent $3,500 on marketing. And let's say you only got one deal on that $3,500. And that one deal you netted $13,000 profit. So what you do is you take $13,000 minus $3,500, which is your expenses, equals $9,500. So that's your profit, $9,500. Oops. $9,500. Okay. Now you divide that by 3,500, which is your expenses, equals 271.4% ROI. 271.4% ROI on that particular deal, on that particular campaign. So what you do is now track your campaign ROI, and then over a course of time, whether it be 30, 60, 90, 120 days, you will know exactly what campaigns produce the highest ROI. Okay. Now, I know your question in your head's thinking, well, now remember, we're talking about adding all these different channels. So if there's 50,000 absentee owners, right, and you don't want to mail them once, you want to mail them continuously. and that's what I do in each one of our campaigns. Now, you run the campaigns and then you run the numbers and figure out which one is producing the most ROI. Now let's talk about lead management, okay? Because now when you're marketing, the amount of marketing that we do in this mass marketing, and you're doing all these different channels, you got to have some sort of lead management and follow-up system that will work for you, that you can keep everything contained in one particular spot, to where you have a glance view and be able to manage it correctly. So what do we use? We use FreedomSoft. Is a software tool that we use to basically manage all of our leads. Now you can go to freedomsoft.com. You can kind of check it out and what it does. It's pretty ninja. It's like $97 a month or something like that. But basically what it is, it's a lead management system. So all the leads come into Freedom Voice. We'll call back the leads, and I have you can either do it yourself, or when you start increasing your revenue, you can start hiring and taking on people. But what you do is the leads come in, you take them off Freedom Voice, call back the sellers, and you put them into FreedomSoft. And in FreedomSoft, which is great, it has all the name, number, and it's built for wholesalers. It's built for our business and what we do. So what it does, it has name information, address, property, has any loan information on there if they have any of that, what their motivation is, what they're looking to get for the property. You can generate a contract right out of FreedomSoft and email it to the seller right there on the spot. You can create a task inside there. So let's say it's a follow-up. Right? Let's say you're going to do a follow-up and they say, I'm not ready now, but I definitely want to sell, but, I just got to get this probate stuff done. And once I get the paperwork done, it should be done in July sometime, give me a call back then. So what you do is you create a task and you put in July and you put notes in there, because it had conversational notes so you can keep track of exactly what's going on, that you need to follow up in July 10th, right? And that they are waiting for the probate, to come through, and you follow up. And what happens is you put the task and you forget about it. And then what happens is you'll get an email from FreedomSoft that says, here's your daily schedule. Here's what you have to do. You go back into FreedomSoft and you see on your calendar, I got to follow up with so-and-so on July 10th about probate, and it has all your notes right there. So then you can call them up and you sound like you know what you're doing. Okay, this is probably the only and best way that you can do that. And then you can mark if the deal is currently under contract. You can put it on a whiteboard to see if all the deals you have currently under contract that you're marketing at one specific time. But you are able to market it. And what we do is I have Corey that works with me. He takes all the incoming calls that are coming in. He'll put them in the FreedomSoft. He'll determine if there's motivation there. If there's motivation, he'll tag them in a specific folder in FreedomSoft called Motivated. Now, in that folder in Motivated, then he'll outsource the lead to me. I'll get the lead that comes in. I'll look it over. I'll go in the Motivated folder. I will then call the seller. I'll determine if there's motivation there. I'll do potentially what's called a soft pass. I'll give them some low numbers of what I'm thinking we could do for the property. And if there's even motivation after that point, then I will go on the appointment. I'll meet the seller and I'll get the contract. Okay, so if there's maybe less motivation there, or they're not really, I'm not feeling it there, then I'll send Corey. Corey will go on the appointment, and I'll tell him, here, this is where we need to be, and talk about the contract specifications. He'll get the contract, and then we'll move forward from there. So that's how we do it. So typically in a month, right, I might go on 10 appointments, 15 appointments, but every appointment I go on, I get a contract, 100%. I don't go on appointments that I don't know that I'm going to get a contract, because I've already pre-qualified him. He pre-qualified him for motivation. Then I go and pre-qualify him for motivation, pretty much tee it up, negotiate the whole thing. And if they're there, a local, then I'll go and meet them and get a contract. If not, we'll send a contract out and get it signed and get it back. Now, we got contracts out right now. They're getting signed from sellers, either in probate or inheritance, whatever the case, and they're sending them back, but we continue to follow up with them. So the bottom line is this, is that lead management is so important. This is one major tweak that will make the difference between you making $50,000 and $500,000, because the money is in the follow-up. You've heard it before. You've heard it from, sales or whatever. Money's in the follow-up. Money's in the follow-up because if you're the person that follows up, you sound professional, you listen to the, you go back to your notes and so, yeah, we spoke on June 8th, whatever, and it looks like you had a probate situation there. You're trying to clear out and you thought you were going to get it done by June 10th. I was just following up to see if you're ready. We have some available funds. We're looking for a couple more properties right now. And, are you still interested in selling, or where are you at? Oh yeah, we just got it done and, I think we're ready to go and, great, and then you can maybe talk about pricing and where they need to be, if you sense that motivation there. But that follow-up is key. You want to spend your time and you're wondering, okay, what do I do on a daily basis? Well, you're going to have your calendar there. And once you start cranking in this business, you're going to have your calendar there. You're going to have follow-up people you're talking to, contracts you're following up on, sellers you're following up on, new leads that are coming in. But the money is in the follow-up. Now, what we do, right, is not only do the sellers get put inside FreedomSoft, but also we get their name, obviously, their telephone number, all their information about the property. We have all the follow-up, but then we get their email address. And we get their email address, and I put them in my email follow-up sequence, which is an automatic email. It's called an autoresponder that I set up one time, and I can just add potential sellers all the time. And what happens is once we add them to this particular autoresponder list, right, they'll be emailed a book. And a book will explain about who I am in the company and what, basically what we do and how we do it. So it gives credibility, number one, and then it puts them in a 1 year long autoresponder sequence. That means they'll get an email 15 days later. They'll get an email 15 days after that. Then after that, they'll get an email every single month from me for the next 12 months for an entire, obviously for an entire year. So now in that particular case, and I give them things. Hey, are you still selling it? Hey, we're looking for one more property. Would you be interested in selling? I have people call me all the time. They say, hey, I just got your email. We're looking to sell. 5 months ago wasn't time, but now we're time. What can you do? Wow, let me look at the numbers. What's your address again? Okay, great. And it's amazing because it's on autopilot and it's done. So I got follow-up by email. I got follow-up by having FreedomSoft in the calendar with calls coming in there, and they're just continue getting contact. And I can tell you this. If you really want to make it big in this business, right, that's what it takes. Because those little tweaks, and it's not a lot, it's very simple things. It's not like you have to go out and dig more ditches, right? All you got to do is to say, ask for an email address, put them in an autoresponder follow-up. Follow up, truly have a follow-up system that works, that you can make those calls and talk to those sellers. But when you do that, that will increase your deals dramatically. I'm talking about where if you do 10 deals a year, right, then this will make you can do 30 deals a year with doing the same marketing, right? And the same, but just tweaking these little things. Okay. So that's lead management. We talked about lead analytics. Now let's talk about follow-up. Now there's two different follow-up. We talked about the follow-up with talking to the sellers. Now let's talk about follow-up in the marketing. Follow-up in the marketing is incredibly important because you just don't send mail, right, to a specific campaign once. Okay, you don't do that. You continuously send. For an example, we have an inheritance list. We initially send the inheritance list. And our inheritance list just grows every single month, right? Our probate list grows every single month. Initially on the onset, when we get a fresh list, the fresh list gets a yellow letter. And then after that list, it goes in, all the people that call in that want to get removed, we keep the list updated continuously. Then what we do is then we turn around and they get a postcard after that. every single month. They get a postcard. Now, absentee owners will onset. We'll send them a yellow letter. After that, they get a postcard. And we'll just continuously keep the lists updated, and then mail. And we're dropping, we're talking huge 30, 40,000 units a month of mail, of that, which is we're talking lots of mail, and we're trying to increase even more. We get to anywhere from 50 to 100,000 units a month. And once we reach a capacity, then guess what? Then we go into another market. We go say, okay, listen, we're going to dive into Vegas and just ramp up the entire thing and then blow out the Vegas market. So, or whatever it is might be, whatever market we decide. So the bottom line is that's how you can go in. You can scale it from first off saying, okay, I want to have an income goal, tripling your income goal, doubling your income goal, and then going out and scaling your business, reinvesting 15% back into the marketing, really get a tie down on your lead management when leads come in to really manage it correctly using something like FreedomSoft, and then analyzing each campaign you do for the highest ROI, right? And then you kind of eliminate the campaigns that are not. So if you look at your pay-per-click campaign and the ROI for the pay-per-click sucks, then guess what? Delete it. Be done with it. And then start focusing and putting that money into the campaigns that produce the highest ROI. So where now that's what you're focusing your money on. And then you continuously track your results and measure. You track and measure until you have it so dialed in that you have it down to a science between your marketing, your numbers, and how many deals you can get. And then it doesn't become a guessing game. I talk to so many wholesalers or people that are getting involved in the business, and they go, well, there's no guaranteed income. I don't know if I'm going to be able to, make it because, listen, once you get it dialed in, you know your numbers, what type of mailing you can do, what type of results you can get, what type of mailing you can do, what type of results you can get. This business becomes crystal clear, and you know exactly what to do and how to do it. And I'm not even talking about bird dogs or building an army of bird dogs, which is that's gravy on top of it, because those are when deals just come in, and those deals come in left and right, and from bird dogs that are going out finding deals. And the great thing about working with bird dogs is you have the ability to teach and train other people and work with them. I have people around the country that have bird dogs that send them to my podcast, send them to read my book, and then say, listen, read all of Sean's stuff, listen to his podcast, then I'll work with you on a local market, and I'll basically on a local basis, which is fine with me. I don't care, right? That's why it's out there, to teach people and train people. So I have the training mechanism set up to teach them. You can create a meetup group in your local area, Flip to Freedom meetup group. People will find that meetup, come to you as the leader. You might have a list of, say, 50, 100, 500,000 buyers, whatever it might be. And you could work with these people, send them to my podcast. I can teach them. And guess what? You then could be the leader of the group, be able to have the ability to market and sell the properties, and be able to have deals coming in left and right. So that's how it can expand, and it can expand quickly, where then you're going from doing 5, 10 deals a month to 10 to 20 deals a month. All right. So now I want to talk about real quick, and then we're almost done here. Talk about a guy named Les Brown. Les Brown is a motivational speaker, and you've got to hear what he says, because he talks about, goals and aiming. And this is where I got this from, when it came from, taking your goal and doubling it or tripling it. And he has a way of expressing it that is way better than what I can do. So let me shut up right now, and let's listen to Les Brown and what he has to say about goal setting.
I like to ask whether or not you have goals, but I want to ask you another question. How many of you know that if you had your life to live over again, you could do more than what you've done thus far? Raise your hands, please. Now, that proves the point that what we do and what we accomplish in life is only a tip of the iceberg of what's possible for us. So I want you to think about some goals that you'd like to achieve, and I'd like for you to, let's say, break them up in 3 categories. Number 1, I want you to think about some personal goal you'd like to achieve. And I'd like for you to think about some career goal, some business goal that you'd like to achieve. And I want you to think about some social contribution, some impact you'd like to make with your life. It was Horace Mann who said, we should be ashamed to die until we've made some major contribution to humankind. I believe we live in the greatest country in the world that gives us an opportunity to leave our mark, to make a statement with our lives. And as you think about these goals, whatever those goals are, I want you to dramatically increase those goals. And I want to warn you, I don't want you to think about how you're going to do it. How is none of your business. The most important thing is just to increase those goals dramatically. I've found that most people fail in life, not because they aim too high and miss. Most people fail in life because they aim too low and hit. And many don't aim at all.
Now you gotta go in and just start looking at some of Les Brown, what he, some of his different videos on YouTube and stuff like that, because the guy is a phenomenal inspiration. He's such a motivational speaker. It's awesome, and he just gets you thinking and puts a burning desire inside you, so you can go out and make it happen. But the bottom line is this: is that aim big. You know why? Because you can do it. You have the ability to do it. There is no one listening to this right now that can tell me and look me in the eye and say, I don't have what it takes. Because you do have what it takes. I mean, I didn't grow up in a wealthy family. My dad made no more than $40,000 a year as a police officer in Essex Junction, Vermont. Right? I grew up in a little town in Vermont. I joined the Marine Corps because I wanted to get the heck out of there. I went around and traveled the world out of that, and I don't have a college education. I do have a high school education, barely, right? And, but the bottom line is, if you're motivated and you're focused, right, and you can learn this information, you can take yourself from where you are to heights that you've never dreamt possible. Things that you can accomplish and things that you can do, I mean, is just outstanding. I mean, just unbelievable. You know, I remember I was in the Marine Corps and I was stationed in Southern California in San Clemente at a Marine Corps base there called Camp Pendleton. And I remember I was driving in my car, and I was driving up to PCH, and I remember driving through Dana Point, California. It's south of Laguna, north of San Clemente, where I was stationed. And I remember driving through there, and there was the Ritz-Carlton, and they have the St. Regis Resort, and they have houses that are just ridiculous. I mean, millions of dollars. And I remember thinking, going, wow, wouldn't it be nice to own a place out here? Just, wouldn't it be nice to be on the beach and own a place out here and just be able, because I saw these people walking around. They had, Rolexes on. They're driving Range Rovers and Porsches, and and I'm like, and when I was young, right? And I was like, in my, 20s or whatever, 18, 19, 20. I was like, wow, wouldn't it be nice? To be able to have that lifestyle. What do these guys do? I want that, because I came from nothing, absolutely nothing. And no talent, no abilities, nothing. I just came from, joined the Marine Corps to go out, and because I wanted to get out of Vermont, where they tip cows. I want to get out of there to go see the world. All I had was a duffel bag, my Marine Corps stuff in it when I get out, and nothing. And to be able to start from no leg up, no opportunities, nothing. But I was motivated to the hilt. One key quality, if you want to out-succeed all your friends, your family, your relatives, it doesn't matter where you've come from. It doesn't matter your age. It doesn't matter your color, skin color. It doesn't matter your religion. It doesn't matter any of that. The only thing that matters is your desire and your motivation. How bad do you want it? If you want it more than anybody else, guess what? The universe will yield to you. You can have it. You will have it. Just don't ever, ever, ever give up. I can tell you this, you will hit hard times. You're going to look like that. Guess what, man? You have, failed. It is always darkest before the dawn. You're going to hit that dark point. You might find a seller, get it under contract, and think you have a deal, and it falls out of contract for some reason. Or someone might tell you you're crazy, or you might hit a roadblock. It's going to happen. Just realize it's going to happen, know it's going to happen, and realize you got to blow through it because it's an obstacle meant there to see how bad you want it. You're just not going to drop 2,000 letters or make $1 million. It's not going to happen. You got to work your butt off. But it will get the result. See, if you're going to work anyways, why not work building something for yourself? See, you might get in the car every morning and wake up early and sit in rush hour traffic and go to work. You're building someone else's company, someone else's organization. And there's no security. They can let you off tomorrow, just like that. Something happens, gone. The company goes bankrupt, done. Here is you control your destiny. Wouldn't you want to wake up? How would it feel to wake up, to have tons of money in the bank, right? To be able to do what you want with no stress, no hustle, right? You don't have to be anywhere unless you decide to. You can wake up and go to the gym if you want. I woke up and go to the gym, went to the gym and went to the country club down there. I'm on my own time because I can do what I want to do with who I want to do it. And the freedom of that is unexplainable. And I can tell you, don't settle for anything less because you deserve it. Don't settle for mediocrity. Don't settle for, well, it's just a good job and it has benefits. Who cares? Guess what? If you make enough money, you can buy the best benefits in the world, can't you? Is do something. See, and if you're listening to this and you've listened to my other episodes, you listen this far, you want it. You want something and you want it bad. So having that desire, having that vision, having that focus, setting the goal and doubling it and doing whatever it takes, without a shadow of a doubt and having faith and never giving up, you will reach anything you want. The point B is right there for you. All you got to do is make it happen. So now, if you want more from me, go to flip2freedom.com, flip2freedom.com. I know I'm a little spastic, but, I'm just having fun. Because, see, I was listening to Joel Osteen on his podcast this morning, and he said something funny I thought was funny. When you're 20, you care about what other people think of you, right? You care about what people think of you, and you care about what you look like, and go, and care about that. And then when you hit 40, you just don't care. You don't care what people think. I get on a stupid microphone here and I blast it out to iTunes. I know there's people right here listening to this going, man, this guy's a whack job. You're right. I'm a complete whack job, but I better be a rich whack job than a broke whack job, right? So, and then when you're 80, right, you're like, you don't even know what they thought of you or if you care what they thought of you or they didn't think anything of you anyways. So, that's it with my spiel. So anyways, go to flip2freedom.com, flip2freedom.com. You can download my book and listen to the other episodes. Go through them because there is meat, raw, juicy, deep. You got to cut through it. You'll learn through it. And from every aspect of it, from your spiritual, mental, not physical because I don't do any workout shows and stuff like that, but everything else to help you achieve the ultimate lifestyle using real estate as a vehicle. That's my goal, my passion. So until next time, I wish you ultimate success in your real estate investing career. Take care and God bless.